Transformers Galactic Trials is a third-person shooter racing game that feels directly at odds with itself. At least you've got the appropriately cheesy Saturday morning cartoon premise. Big McBadman is after sacred artifacts, you've got to get them first by racing and shooting. Following up that premise, the gameplay itself switches between, well, racing and shooting. In many ways, this is a normal kart racer, but each track also features mandatory combat obstacle courses, where you speedily gun down foes in a desperate fight to keep forward momentum. The racing is far more nuanced than the shooting, but races are often won or lost during combat. And honestly, it all works well enough. Each transformer is weighty and distinct, there's a reasonable sense of speed, and the vehicle combat is quite visceral. The shooting feels comparatively light and floaty even as the heavier characters, but it's appropriate given the game flow. You're not really supposed to be standing still and blasting, you're supposed to be marching forward at all times. There are some hang-ups with the AI and more than a few physics bugs, but you know, it's fine. The novelty carries it a long way, and it's not like the level designs are lazy or uninspired. But now we've got to acknowledge the elephant in the road, the progression mechanics and roguelike elements. Galactic Trials may seem like a simple and fun arcadey racer with a creative angle on its franchise, but it's actually a bloated mess of secondary mechanics and loot boxes. Skill does still technically matter insofar that playing horribly will cost you a run, but nearly everything is decided by stats. How powerful your guns are, how much health you have, your handling, what skills and weapons are available, everything is tied to a points-based progression system. There are even secondary objectives during races, as though win the race itself isn't sufficient. And sure, there's an arcade mode without all this junk, but the unlocks in arcade mode are still tied to the roguelike progression mechanics. Whether you like it or not, you're going to be crafting loadouts and cracking open crates and sampling new skins, and watching numbers slowly increase. Basically, Galactic Trials feels embarrassed at its own identity. It's a pretty cool vehicular combat TPS with some sparse stylization and satisfying gameplay, only it won't let you enjoy any of that stuff because it's worried about being too short and simple. And that's dumb. Arcade games are about player input and player skill. What makes them enjoyable is their simplicity and replayability. When you staple on roguelike RPG elements, you dilute the core design, and you end up with something shameful.